Welcome to another episode of Inside the Headset with New Palestine High School head football coach Kyle Ralph. I am special teams coordinator Wes Anderson, coach. First repeat opponent here. We're going to do Center Grove in 2018 today. We talked a lot kind of about their program and stuff when we did the 2019 game before. There will be a few differences here, obviously, year to year with personnel and stuff, and some of their offense scheme is a little bit different from what they did in the previous game, and we can talk about that. But as we get started here, what I really want to talk about is more kind of the lead up to this game. And I think we talked a little bit in the 2019 game. Going into that, we had beaten them the year before, but we were a lot younger team in 2019, and you know, I think there was some uncertainty going into the 2019 game, but I think there was a lot more uncertainty going into the 2018 game with, you know, we never played them, hadn't played a 6A school, you know, really, I honestly didn't really know how this was going to go. So I'll let you talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, you and me both. Yeah, I mean, obviously, this game was kind of scheduled as most of them are years in advance. So I want to say that we signed this contract probably 2 years before this game happened. So we had just come off of the state championship in 14, then we got the runner-up in 15. And a couple of our contracts and stuff were starting to run out. We also had a couple of teams that asked out of contracts with us, and that obviously presents a problem. So we ended up having a couple of weeks open. I think it was 13 anyway. We had a little bit of a shift because Newcastle then had joined the conference as well. So a few things had to change there. And then anyway, we had weeks shuffle around and open dates and stuff shuffle around from when I had first gotten the job. And week 1 and 2 then became our 2 open weeks. Essentially, we couldn't find an opponent at all. And Center Grove has a lot of the same issue. People really just aren't super interested in playing them, you know, with the type of offense and stuff that they run and how good they are and how well coached they are. But, you know, it really takes a physical toll on your players to play a team like Center Grove. So they called us, and I remember, you know, Al Cooper, our athletic director, called me down to the office and said, "Hey, I got a little bit of news for you, good and bad." I said, "All right, well, you know, lay it on me." He goes, "Well, I found us a week 2 game, I think." I said, "Well, great," because we didn't have one at the point, and we were, you know, you really want to have those things set up, again, like I said, about 2 years in advance. And he said, "Well, that's the good news." And I said, "Okay, bad news." He said, "That's Center Grove." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Sure." You know, and he kind of reminded me of one of the things I said when I first took the job was, you know, we're not going to back down from a challenge, you know, from anybody. And regardless of the state of the program, you know, we always want to find ways to push our kids. And boy, was this ever a way to push your kids. So, you know, New Pal, you know, really, I mean, up until a couple of years before I had even gotten the job here, was a 3A school. And they had just kind of poked up into 4A a few years before I got the job. And we're still, even now, I mean, it's, you know, going into year 8 will be this next season. We're still enrollment wise right in the middle of pack of 4A. You know, we're right at about 1,200 kids, which puts us kind of right in the middle. We're right at about kind of the break point of 4A. So we're not even one of the bigger schools there. I think we just became one of the top half in our conference in enrollment, barely, in the last year. So we're not even one of the bigger schools in our own conference. So for a mid-sized 4A school to take on a 6A school like Center Grove, truthfully, you just don't hear that happening. So there's a lot of unknown that goes into that as far as, can a 4A school, a real actual 4A school, handle that? How are our kids going to handle that? Is it even reasonable to think that we've got enough troops to be able to play with a team like this? Talent-wise, with the amount of kids they can pull from, are we going to be able to hang with that? So it was a tremendous challenge, I think, on the plate of everybody in our program, from myself all the way down to, the scout team players. I mean, everybody in the program had a major challenge now in front of them for a couple of years, knowing that a game like this was now on the schedule and it's happening. So there's a lot of excitement that comes with that. I do remember going into this one, because this, like you said, this is the first time we played them. The game that we've already watched was actually the second time we played them. I do remember the excitement going into this game was probably a 50-50 split with nervousness from everybody. There were so many people that were so excited that, again, a school like us would take on a school that size and not back away from that challenge and playing a 6A school. We were playing them at home.
And to play them at our place. I mean, that's also, not to be overlooked in this, to have a big 6A power come to New Palestine and play them in our yard is really, really cool.
Yeah. And it's a tough environment. It was the second game ever with the new turf field and the new stadium. And I think that helped a lot. I think that, going down there first may have been a lot more difficult, but our fan base is so incredible. And for a game like this, I mean, they were absolutely just jacked up beyond belief. It was an absolutely packed house. But again, like I said, there's another half of nervousness there where there were a lot of fans and a lot of people that were like, oh my God, why would they do this? Like, we're going to get our kids hurt. We're supposed to have a good team this year. We bring back so much from the 17 group. They were all so young, and they were, there's a lot of talent. Like, what if we get players injured? This is going to be now Charlie's second game ever with us. It's like, what if Charlie gets hurt week 2 against Center Grove, and now we've lost a great running back, and there was a lot of that. Of is this a silly mistake to go play a school this size, essentially, and is it not good for us? So I think a quick and easy answer to that is this is what we lift weights for, and this is what we train for. To do things like this, to really push our kids to their absolute limits here, and really find out what we're made of. And games like this are, win or lose, can be a huge springboard for your program in regards to, confidence in what your goals are for the season. If I'd said this to the staff leading up to it, and this is probably an interesting, certainly inside the headset and a very behind the scenes take here. It's not that people expected to lose this game, but this was one of the first times in the regular season where I think the potential reality had set in for a lot of coaches that this game, it may not be winnable. We may lose this one. And this game will be played in year 6 of my career. We had not lost a regular season game yet. So no one had gone through a losing film session with me. And that's also one of the players' big points of pride, is none of them want to go through a losing film session. And we still haven't lost a regular season game. We win this one, and we don't lose a single one in year 7 either. We haven't lost a regular season game in 7 years. So, but I remember like the uneasy phone calls from coaches checking on me throughout the week. And, hey, look, it's going to be a really tough ball game, and if things don't go well, and we do lose this thing, what's your approach going to be to this? Like almost preemptively
Yeah.
trying to have me walk them through what my attitude would be if we were to lose this game and lose it bad or whatever it might be. Hey, how you think you'll approach this if it doesn't go well? We got a great team this year, and we really don't, we don't want to lose the kids because of just one loss. And I was like, guys, losing, it doesn't upset me. It's how you lose. Is it a lack of preparation, a lack of effort, those type of things? I said that stuff's not gonna bother me. I'm okay with that stuff. So anyway, it was definitely a feeling of a little bit of, I think, of nervousness on a lot of people's front, where we're just not sure about this one. I mean, we're in uncharted waters here playing against a team like this, and that makes things difficult. So anyway, it was an interesting week in that regard. That was a very behind the headset look at that, but yeah, I mean, people were almost trying to kind of mentally see, where I was in the event that this game maybe didn't go great for us. So it was interesting. It was interesting.
So I guess I'll ask kind of the obvious question then, based on this conversation. Friday game day, how did you feel about the game itself? And I'll share first. I honestly, I felt like if two things happened, we had a shot. One, we needed to score early, and we do. We go right down and get 7 points. I thought if we go down and get 7 on the board, our kids would calm down and they'd settle in, and we'd at least have a chance. Two, block a punt, which we also do in this game, and we'll talk about that. But I felt like if we could do those two things, we would at least be around in the game. I didn't know how many we'd score. I didn't know how many they'd score. I honestly felt 21-ish, 24 would probably be okay. We'd at least be in it at 21 or 24. I felt like if we scored 14, we are probably going to lose. But if those two things happen, I felt like we could at least be in the game. If they went out and scored a touchdown early, I thought we were in deep trouble.
Yeah. I think there were a couple things. One, no food was eaten on this day. I know that.
Yep. Yep.
There was no food consumed on this particular day. But our kids had such a great week of prep. Again, I know I've said this a couple of times, but we're also recapping some of our signature games here, so this probably should be a part of it. But man, our kids had such a spectacular week of practice in this game. I mean, they really, really did. And I think that I really kind of leaned heavily on that as far as a little bit of comfort. And I think that's a big deal. That was huge. And I'm not 100% sure, like I know that you and I talked quite about this. It's kind of hard to say. I know that you had that punt block really dialed in. It looked great throughout the week. And those are those type of things where, we just watched that Michigan City game, and it's like, Coach, you say you got all these things dialed up and stuff for points and whatnot, but didn't happen. That was one of those things where it's like, God, this could change the game at the exact right time here, if we can get that to work itself out. But what if it doesn't happen? And it's like,
well, and we'll talk about that because when we get to it, because it had the block had to be in such a specific situation.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that. But that block almost never happens because we just get lucky that we fall into the exact situation that we needed for that to happen. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, but we had a couple of those things in there, and there's one on offense that I'll talk about that comes up early on. But I think you made a good point there, and there have been a few games that we've been in where I have really felt like this, and you're going to see the first drive of this game essentially do exactly what you said, because in my mind, there have been, like I said, there have been a couple games that we've played where that opening drive is so critical. You just watched Michigan City, the opening drive where we absolutely fall flat on our face and don't execute, and kind of what that did to our offense as a whole and what it did to some of the players on the team. It can really tank you. I mean, it really can. And that's not good. This game to me was very, very similar to when we played Chittard in 2013 and drove the ball down the field and scored on the opening drive. The Cathedral game in 2019 when we drove the ball down the field and scored on the opening drive. Valpo, very similar to that. This was just one of those games where you're you're so much in the unknown here. And those games were the same way. We had never played those teams before, and we really had no previous experience with anything that those teams had done before. And that opening drive is so important, in those games. Like when we play teams in our conference, our kids have a pretty good baseline for what those teams are all about because they've played them at the freshman level, the JV level, the varsity level for a couple of years. Like, we've got a pretty good beat on most teams in our conference, and they have a pretty good beat on us as well. I mean, there's there's not much that we don't know about each other, honestly. You see the same kids yearly out, and you can kind of play with the flow of that stuff. But in a game like this, that really doesn't exist. And our kids don't have a lot of prior experience with Center Grove. They might have played them in youth football one year in an all-star tournament or something, and that doesn't qualify. So, to me, this opening drive, we're going to go for it on some fourth downs here early in this game as kind of calculated risk to keep momentum in our favor and try to produce some points here. But I think you're dead on there. We needed to start this game well. Not that this team wouldn't have been capable of coming back if we would have gotten ourselves in a hole, but we needed to start this game well just for the overall psyche of the team that, we can do this. We belong here. We can play with these guys, because that's where Center Grove beats you. And I think that's where we beat people as well. That's where they beat people is they get ahead and it's like, oh God, we can't stop the wing tee. Their defense is suffocating. Like, this is going to be a long night here. So, yeah, thankfully we came out and executed pretty daggone well and really played a pretty good football game the entire way through, honestly.
So, personnel-wise for them on defense, I mean, we're going to get – they've played the same defense for 9 million years. They're going to play their 4-2. They're going to play cover 4 behind it, play this little rover to the field. But personnel-wise, and I'll say this, they're always really good. But to me, these 4 were not the same 4 that we saw in 2019. Now, I'll also note their best D lineman was suspended for this game and did not play. But kind of talk me through their personnel here.
Yeah. So that was one thing in this game that definitely went our direction. I think he ended up being a D1 baseball player, but really what had appeared to be their most productive defensive lineman had gotten ejected the week before. And so he wasn't allowed to play in this game. Now, it isn't like it was like great news. Normally when you lose an all-state player like that, it's like, oh boy, that's huge. All they did was replace him with what's going to be one of the best recruits in the state of Indiana in the coming years here. He's just going to play the position right now actually as a freshman for them, which is unreal. And he actually makes first team all conference in the MIC as a freshman. So fortunately, we catch him early in his career here. This is his first ever start, so he is the replacement. What's crazy about this, too, is this D-line is still good enough that the Booker kid that you just watched play in the 19 film that is literally a national level recruit. I mean, he's got everybody from Oregon all the way across the opposite coast, to offering him right now. He doesn't even hardly play in this game.
I will tell you what, that dude absolutely humiliated us in the JV game. I mean, my heavens.
Yeah.
That dude, I mean, he was a real problem for us that Monday in the JV game. Wow. That was, I mean, we're running out there with our 2s and 3s, and they've got a dude, that's been offered by 8 of the 12 Big Ten schools, or however many Big Ten schools there are now. It's just, he's really good.
Yeah, so there are 2 interior tackles in this game. The one kid, 93, is a Division I recruit, and then 97, I'm not sure where he went. He's just a big boy. It's a good football player. I think he went on to play somewhere. I can't remember where, though. And then, the interesting part about Center Grove, their personnel is always so similar because they have so many kids to pick from. The kid on the top of the screen, for those of you that have watched this whole series, if you remember, the kid from the 19 game is just kind of a speed rusher. They always have a kid that's just an exceptional speed rusher that can really put a lot of pressure on your quarterback. So the kid up top, while he's not very big, is really fast. The linebackers, we felt like, were a little bit of a weakness for them in this particular year. The hard part is, how do you get to them? Getting to them was an issue because the D-line was so good. But we really felt like if we could get up on their linebackers, it could be a really big night for us. Again, that's easier said than done, but that was probably the weak spot of their defense in this particular year. And then their DBs were just solid players all around. I think this was a pretty senior-heavy group that had played quite a bit for them. They played the structure of their defense really, really well. I know we talked about this some, but the hard part with playing Center Grove, and again, this is the first time we had done it, so we really – 19, we had a couple more things prepared and kind of in our pocket to come after them. But in 18, not really having, again, that full kind of knowledge base of what they do and exactly how they do things. We really keep our passing game to a minimum here. 19, we try to go over the top of them a little bit more and attack some of the holes better because we'd had a knowledge base. Boy, in this game, we keep it really airtight. I mean, we really don't do a lot in the passing game here because we just felt like we were going to be a bit mistake-prone if we came after them, not knowing some of the intricacies of what they did. So that's pretty much it, I mean, for the breakdown for them. And now there's a lot that goes into that stuff, obviously, beyond what I just said. But we keep this game plan pretty tight, and really this was one of the things that we preach to the kids. I know we've talked about this a lot. I want to say into this game we carried 3 runs and maybe like 6 passes.
Yeah, that's about right.
I mean, and 1 screen. I mean, this game was absolutely airtight. Guys, look, we cannot get into the mindset of, oh my God, it's Center Grove. We gotta fool them. We gotta trick them. We gotta do all these things they haven't seen before. Like, it was the complete polar opposite. Fellas, look, you beat teams like this by being able to out-execute them. It's how teams should try to beat us. You have to out-execute them and not make mistakes. You cannot give their offense the ball back unnecessarily with silliness. It can't be 3-and-out punts. We have got to be flawless in our execution. And the way to do that was we were going to be really, really, really good at a very small number of things and make sure that we could move the chains and execute and not turn the ball over and not go 3-and-out and punt it away quickly. That's how you lose to teams like this. So I really felt like we had a great week of practice, and I think our kids on offense overall do a really, really nice job in this game.
A couple things I'll note here. Honestly, this is going to be the coming out party for Maxon Hook in my mind. He plays an incredible game here on both sides. Really doesn't come off the field. We sub him in a couple times here on offense. The other thing too, we're a week and a half after losing our starting X to a broken collarbone. We lose Blake, I think, what was it, Tuesday of the Kokomo week?
Uh-huh.
So, I'm scrambling out here for depth. Matt's going to play both ways the whole night in this game at tight end and linebacker.
As a
So,
sophomore.
and as a sophomore, he had the third most receiving yards in the state in week 1 against Kokomo at like 130 receiving yards. So, but he's going to play linebacker too, and we can talk some about that as well. But it's kind of a mishmash for us a little bit here at receiver in this game. Losing Blake, right before you play game 1, when you lose a starter, is always tough. So one of the things that's going to happen in this game is Zach's going to run the ball a lot, and really successfully. And we start with our quarterback inside zone here, where we're going to bring Charlie across and have him block this, basically block the read, and then Zach can insert here.
So this was one of the very few times, I think, in my career overall. I mean, when we had Alex at quarterback, we would do this a lot to people, but this was one of the very few times where in our scheme and our breakdown, one of the things that we had kind of told the kids is, look, they don't see running quarterbacks very often. And it's not because teams in their conference don't run spread. They do. Most of them do, as a matter of fact. But teams in their conference don't like to run their quarterbacks very often, especially between the tackles, because their conference is brutal. If you're going to play a 7-game mixed schedule, and your quarterback's going to run the ball 15 to 18 times a night, he probably isn't going to survive that season. And so we just felt like schematically some of the things that we do with our quarterback would give them some trouble. And running Zach more than Charlie might be good for us. And I'll tell you what, it really ends up panning out that way. They really have a tough time handling our quarterback runs. This is actually the only game of Charlie's career he's held to under 100 yards. Some of that is Center Grove's defense is so good. Some of that is we don't give him the ball a ton. But Zach ends up running for like high 130s, I think, maybe. We run for well over 220, 230 yards on these guys, which is huge. So, it's going to be interesting as you watch this to see Zach run the ball a lot more, but we really felt like that was going to be our best bet. Good protection here on this, and a really nice throw by Zach in the window on this kind of
I'll say this too. I know I won't say we dogged on Zach the last couple days in the Michigan City game necessarily, but he really didn't play very well in that game. And he plays exceptionally well in this game. And some of the reads and some of the throws are just right on point. And this is one right here. This is our bubble China concept. We call it double curl with a bubble here. Makes a quick read, great throw, right on the money to Colby, catch and run. He really, really plays well in this game. We just talked about, he runs the ball incredibly well, but he also made some really nice throws throughout the course of this game as well.
Oh yeah, big time throws throughout the course of this game.
Another quarterback zone here.
And I guess I'll say this as well. Because I just mentioned obviously why teams don't run against them. Like, Coach, if teams don't run against their quarterback against them, well, why are you doing it so much? Look, again, this is why we do the things that we do. This is why we lift weights. This is why we train. This is why our players, are there on a team average at 97% of the lifts. It's so that we can do things like this. Our quarterbacks are trained like all the other players are. They don't do a quote unquote quarterback workout. They do football workouts and they train their bodies. I mean, this is his senior year. Zach's probably weighed about 75 pounds, probably 180 pounds this year, maybe. But he's a 250 plus pound bencher. He's up in the high threes on his squat, and he power cleans 275 or 280. I mean, this is what he lifted weights for and worked hard for, so that his body was able to take some physical punishment throughout the course of a season. And quite frankly, I mean, I think the kids would question, Coach, why are we not doing some of these things that'll help us win a ball game? This is what I worked hard for. Like, this is what you made me do all that stuff for. So, and again, there's an element of that where, next week we're not going to have to go play Lawrence North or Pike or Carmel or Ben Davis or something, and Center Grove is going to have to. So, but again, they're a 6A school and we're not. And I know a lot of people argue that, like, oh, well, New Pal couldn't play in the MIC. Well, no kidding. I mean, everybody's twice our size, and they've got
we got 1,200 kids. Carmel's got 5,000. I mean, what are we talking about here, boys?
Our roster in this year had like 47 players on it. Center Grove's had over 100. I mean, it's such an unrealistic and absurd comment to make. But in a given week, can we compete with some of those teams? Sure we can. But in a 9-week schedule, I've got 47 players. I mean, Carmel's got more seniors than that. I mean, it's not even a realistic comment to even speak about. So, yeah, I understand that our game plan and approach to this game might be different than other people's because it's a little bit of a one-off game for us, and we don't got to sit there and turn around next week and play another 6A school. But that's not who we are. We're gonna turn around and go play for a Yorktown and for a Pendleton and whatever. I mean, that's who we are. That's our conference. And we're not even one of the bigger ones in that. But, it's such a silly and absurd argument. But it does help our approach to a game like this, to be honest, because we're going to go back and play teams that are at least from our quote-unquote realm and size. Yeah. And that's, again, that's who we are. I know that we've been really good, but we're not just some absurd juggernaut that is, cranking out 6A caliber stuff every year, and we've got 100 kids on the roster. I mean, it isn't that. We've got about 50 every year if we're lucky from sophomore to senior.
Here's the tight end wing combo that we've talked about a little bit. This was when we debuted this. We'd never run this before, and we can talk a little bit more about it as the game goes on. But I know we talked a little bit about it. I think in the 19 Center Grove game. That it was one of the things that as maybe in the Cathedral game, it's one of the formations that we felt pretty confident that we knew how they were going to line up to. So we can kind of talk about some of the things as it goes along here.
It gave us a couple advantages as well because it brought some of their guys out of space and closer to us, which was good. We missed our block on that one there. But overall, we felt like this was going to be a good formation for us because some of these guys that were going to be a lot harder for us to block in space and made it their rover, it made him more predictable. We just felt like it gave us an advantage there.
A couple boundary hitches here to Maxon on this drive. Like I said, this was kind of his coming out party, and I remember kind of thinking in the second half of this game with some of the plays he was making, like, we're gonna be all right with this kid. He's
that was a big conversion right there too.
Yeah.
So this actually is our first attempt at our midline zone, and this big kid reads it so well. My goodness. So we do a little a midline zone, and we insert our wing as well to make sure we can block this linebacker and get to him. And this just speaks to the caliber of these kids and how disciplined, how well coached they are. I mean, 97 our splits are way too tight here, but 97 just sits right in there and plays both. And Zach probably should have given this one, but again, we're going to come back to this play later. It's going to be a really nice play for us here. I know I've talked about those type of situations earlier, but this is a misread big time. This is Zach's probably worst play of the night right out of the gate. He flat out doesn't read this one here, and this should be the arrow route for a first down that you just highlighted there, and he forces one into Matt on this. Matt essentially is the clearing guy. We're trying to put these guys in a spot where, again, we've got a little triangle route happening here. This one I think actually is what most people would probably call Y stick, honestly. And we're just trying to put that rover player in a conflict here. Really, he can't be right. Whoever he picks, the other guy should be wide open, and Zach makes the wrong read, so we make that kid right.
Another big conversion here, and this one's going to get us right down close. This is kind of a one-off. It's a little bit of a variant of something we run already. Kind of our switch. It's kind of our switch vertical, but we're going to hook up instead of pushing this through the top. Change it to a sprint out for this week at Coach Large's suggestion. And this was a really good play for us.
Yeah, this ends up being great.
Find Maxon right in the hole there. Another really good throw by Zach right here. On the run, flips his hips, and then we get a miss, and Hook gets us down to the goal line. And then we're going to punch this in right here.
Yeah, so I think we converted 1 4th down on that drive to keep the chains moving, and we're going to go for it again on the next drive, I think, to try to keep the chains moving as well. So every once in a while, hit pause real quick. I know we haven't really talked a lot about this. You mentioned it briefly from the Cathedral game, but what you see behind us there is the administration building and the admin parking lot. And then beyond that, further to the left, actually, is our elementary school and the elementary parking lot. And then where the camera is filming, so behind that is then our high school parking lot. And I'm going to tell you right now, there wasn't a spot in any of those 3 parking lots to be had. Not one. You could not find a spot to park in our lots for this game. And you can tell right now, those are our brand new end zone bleachers. They are so wall-to-wall packed. Then there are kids down on the fence line. There are parents on the fence line. There are parents wrapped around. Here. Yeah, there are parents that we had to put a rope around to keep them away from the field. We had to rope the whole thing off. There's parents along the rope. They're on the fence line that is the barrier for the visitor bleachers. They are wrapped around our side on the fence line. Our bleachers are full. There are people standing in the opposite end zone down there where there aren't even bleachers at. This game was wild.
Yeah.
And I'll say this. I know I haven't really mentioned it all, but, Center Grove's fan base is obviously legendary. And how they travel to games no matter what, how they support their program. I think that what we have built with Dragon Nation and our fan support over the last couple of years and my time here is just second to none. Again, for a community our size, to have a community that's supposed to be roughly about 2,000 total people. On Friday nights, boy, it's shut down. When we go to those state championship games, any looter could have at it, boy. There's nobody here. You could come away with a bag full of goodies on the state championship nights because, my goodness, we're bringing over 5,000. That last one, I think we had about 7,000 people at the last couple. Our fan support is amazing, and the roar from the crowd when we punched this first one in, I think what we talked about earlier, it was almost like a full community breath of fresh air of like, oh my God, we can do this. Like, we just scored on the opening drive on Center Grove. And the roar of this, it's a 1-yard touchdown, but the roar of this was almost a collective, like, all right, let's do this, guys. We belong here. And man, our players are charged up. You can see the emotion from Zach, and
real quick.
Kryman, all he did was hand the ball off, and you can see the emotion from him when we score this thing. It's one of those games where this was such an important thing to happen for us. And there was a lot of emotion involved in that. So great first drive. A great opening drive by the kids.
I want to go back here and I want to point out a couple of seniors here. We've talked about Austin Keel. We've talked about Cotterman, a little bit. I'm going to tell you, this zone double team right here is just about as good as it gets.
Oh, yeah. Really nice job.
I mean, we Chuck pounds that thing in right in that A gap, right behind the two of them, and they drive both those dudes across the goal line into the end zone. That
Yeah.
is an exceptional double team there.
One thing that we thought we had an advantage in this game is conditioning, especially with as warm as it was. I know it sounds crazy. Again, we play both ways. We've talked about it a lot, but even on that first drive, their D line started to get tired, and they're going to rotate their guys here coming up pretty soon. Their guys definitely wear out in this game, and it really helps us a lot as the game wears on to keep that playing field even.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about good players. This kid right here was really good. Holy cow.
The Ogega kid, yeah. I'm going to tell you, their kickoff return team gave us fits. This was our second game ever using this hitman system, and we're still trying to work some of the kinks out, and I mean they're just so big. They really gave us fits, and they popped a couple big ones on us in this game. So here they come, and let's talk a minute, about some of the differences that you're going to see if you watch the 2019 game. First of all, this is not Taven.
Yeah, he was a freshman this year as well. He was on the
Yeah.
traveling roster. He was there, but he didn't play. This is the quarterback.
He played the last play of the game when Jackson got hurt.
Yeah. The quarterback actually, interestingly enough, is Coach Moore's son. Who I think is at Franklin now. Maybe I want to say.
I think you're right.
Go play at Franklin. So yeah, this God, their offensive line in 18 may have actually been bigger than the offensive line in 19, which, again at the time was, I mean, let's just go ahead and say very concerning with just the general size of these kids. The wing back was a little bit different kid. The Ogega kid you just watched return the kickoff. He's going to be back there at the wing, and he was really fast and very, very dangerous, and he's going to hurt us a couple of times on some of the stuff. The one major – I mean, really, you're going to see the exact same offense. I know I've talked about this quite a bit, but that is the beauty of Center Grove, and I think some of the beauty of us as well. Center Grove has been good for – I don't know, Coach has been there for like 20 years, so let's just go ahead and say 2 decades or whatever. He's been there now. They're not changing. It's buck sweep, it's belly, it's down, it's fold, it's whatever, okay? They're not changing. And you're not going to see change from this game either. You're going to see their offense run essentially the exact same set of plays, and they're going to beat you with physicality and execution. And when you make mistakes, they're going to gash you. The one difference from this game that you don't see in 2019 is that Carson is healthy in this game, and in 19 he was hurt. He had some kind of a leg injury, a hamstring injury, I think it was, in 19. So the game that we previously watched, he had pulled his hamstring. He came back later in the season and ended up playing for them pretty late on. But this was him as a sophomore, and I mean, you want to talk about concerned. The only thing that we had even relatable to him was Charlie. And our kids, most of them had played as sophomores and actually had to play against Charlie when he was up at Delta. So we at least had a little bit of recall in regards to guys. If you remember the plan of how we had to attack and tackle Charlie when we had to go against him, this is not going to be much different. You're going to have to hit him in the legs. You're going to have to choke down his speed and his strength. And in their system, he can hurt you so many different ways. Like you can see right here, they run him out of the backfield as well, and they'll throw some screens and some swings and stuff to him. But he is a really talented young man. And as a freshman in the MIC and the 6A playoffs, I think he'd run for like over 1,600 yards as a freshman in that conference. And, I mean, he's something special. I mean, he really is. He's got multiple Division I offers, I think, now, and he barely even played as a junior. I mean, he played in like 3 or 4 games as a junior, and he's got multiple Division I offers. So a really talented kid. And here's something interesting about the week, and you want to talk about, quite frankly, kind of risking it a little bit, but our kids buying into whatever it takes to win a football game. This week of practice, we had very small but very intense scout team sessions for our defense where Charlie played Carson Steele's position, and we made our guys physically tackle him. And I told Charlie, you do not – if you hold up, that's how you get hurt. I said, you need to go full speed in this, and I mean I want you to punish our defensive players. And Avon actually then was one of the wingbacks as well to kind of be their insert or their fold guy on some of the ISO stuff. And then I can't remember who we used as the jet back, but it was another starter. And we essentially made our defense in this week for about 5 to 8 plays a day go full speed live against 3 all-state players, including Mr. Football, who was back there running scout team. So it was a full buy-in from everybody, you know, and that includes the coaches. Like when I pitched that idea to the coaches, it takes coaching buy-in to say, you know what, you're right, we need this. Like, I know it's a little bit risky, but we really need this. We're not going to get a good look any other way than that. And so that's what we do. And I'm not going to say it helps us win the game, but I think that's a big part of our success here is, you know, we had to replicate them some way, somehow. And putting our best players over there was our best chance to do that. So, yeah. Just a barely missed tackle there by Maxon on that one. Is a really nice play. You know, we get them here to 4th and short. I mean, they're 3rd and kind of a short medium here, and we get them to 4th and short, but this is where they live. I mean, they're going for this every day of the week right now. And we actually get him stopped in the backfield, but he falls forward and gets past the marker by about a half a yard here. It's a really good play by Austin Keel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, really defensively, outside of just the personnel stuff, it's not even really worth going. I mean, we essentially employ about the same plan you saw in the 19 game here, to be honest. So you're gonna get a little extra, you know, tape on watching us play that kind of what we call our snake package here. So, boy, we had a sack in the backfield and blew it, and they converted a nice one on us right here. We missed this tackle too, but we had a big sack right there, and then give up a conversion to this big tight end. You know, that's another thing too about, I think, Center Grove's system, man. They always have big tight ends, big, physical, tough tight ends, and that is so hard to handle. In my opinion, if you've got one, a good, big, athletic tight end that can go out there and catch passes and block is one of the greatest weapons in high school football. And I think that stays the same way throughout multiple levels of football. You know, you watch the NFL and stuff, especially, or you watch some of the really good college teams play. If they've got a good tight end they can use in a lot of ways, boy, that a tight end like that is an X factor. They've always got good big tight ends. Great coverage by Canfield on this play, by the way.
Yeah, you know, one of the things you're going to see a little bit of spread from them, not nearly as much as you saw in the 2019 game. And honestly, you know, they got in the spread stuff just to run inside zone. You know, they didn't chuck it around the yard a lot in the spread in this year. So a lot of their pass game stuff was either little short check downs to Carson or one-man shots. And I remember we just repped one-man shots and repped it the whole week. And we do a really good job of playing this first one.
Yeah, I mean, Canfield's an absolute – I mean, that is literally about flawless position on a play like this. That's really well done.
So here's a spread, like I said. Here comes inside zone. And this is the fumble here.
Yeah. Big play. I mean, again, it was. I know we said this in 19, but it was such a weird feeling. We did not want them to be in spread. We really wanted them to stay in the wing T. We felt like we had a better chance against that than their spread stuff, to be honest. But Maxon comes over, makes a great play, and jars the ball loose here, and it pops right into Brody's hands because Brody's hustling over as well. And this is a really good job. It's what's interesting about this is this is almost identical to Maxon and Charlie's first ever live rep as teammates back in August in this season, where Maxon had the same thing and Charlie broke through, and Maxon came screaming over, and him and Brody kind of high-load Charlie, and Charlie didn't fall over. So Maxon learned that you better hit big guys low, and he hits Carson right in the thighs here, and the side of his helmet actually goes right to the ball, and he cuts Carson's legs out, and his helmet pops the ball out. So he had learned from having to tackle Charlie, you can't tackle big boys high. I mean, that's right in his thigh. That's a great play by him. So yeah, that's a huge turnover for us. You know, as they're kind of moving the ball on us a bit, and we're in a long yardage scenario there, and they've converted a fourth down, but they're moving the ball on us, and force a turnover like that again is just a big momentum swing. So
the quarterback run here on first down. Another boundary hitch. Eric has a couple of nice catches in this game.
Yeah, great catches out with his hands out front. Eric's a great weapon because he's so big and so long. I mean, even in this year here, he's a junior right now. He grew even more, but he's still in this particular season was still about 6'2" and 170 some odd pounds. The senior at receiver, he ended up being, my gosh, I mean, he was 6'3" and change and probably 180 something. I mean, he really grew, and he's probably got still a little bit more growth in the tank. Honestly, he's going to go play at Hanover.
Here's the midline again.
Yeah, this one is really well executed now. So we get that insert. The insert guy ends up picking the backer up, which is what we did that for anyway. He was just kind of an insurance block here because their D-line, again, is so well coached that you can see 93. He squeezes our guard down so hard with his hands. They're so well coached. And when teams are well coached, you can do some great stuff because you kind of know how they're going to play the game. So we use that insert guy.
Here, I'll go back.
We use the wing as an insert player, knowing that they very well may over squeeze this, and we won't get that backer. And so we almost use their coaching against them and get ourselves an insurance block. And it's exactly the way that this play pans out, which is great. We get a holding penalty here, which doesn't help us, but play-wise, this is what we were looking for. So good in that regard.
The screen.
Yeah. So
the only screen that you have put in the now 4 years I have been with you.
Yeah, I think in my 7 years, I think we've only run like 3. So this is a little bit of again, where as a play caller, in my opinion, okay, so let me let me go back here real quick. I absolutely am one of the major supporters, and this may be of the minority in this statement as well here, but I am absolutely not of the opinion that on third and longs it should be a draw or a screen. I think that is the biggest myth and joke in all of offensive play calling, because everybody used to do it, because we'll catch them off guard. We'll catch them off guard, and they're not going to expect it. We'll run a quarterback draw. We'll run everybody off on 3rd and 13, and we'll run draw, or we'll run everybody off. We'll throw a screen. Well, it's like, I mean, everybody does that. It's the most common play call on long yardage situations, period. for crying out loud, we've run the ball in this scenario before, by the way, run inside zone and picked it up. But in this situation, again, you're playing against a very well-coached team. You're playing against a team that has their own defensive tendencies. And Center Grove's defensive tendencies were, in my opinion as a play caller, pretty cut and dry. When they were either well behind the down and distance or they felt like they were in front of you, they would get a little bit risky and they would put on a lot of pressure, okay? In these scenarios, though, their philosophy is to get off of the field and make you punt the ball back to their offense here. So what they would do is they would put an extreme amount of pressure on with their front four, and most of the time, everybody would drop. And what we're going to get here is a double twist stump that we had prepared for pretty heavily, and no pressure. Okay, so what I mean by what I said earlier is, or they don't double twist; they just twist one side.
Single twist.
What I would mean is on 2nd and 2, they would pressure you because they're losing at that point. They're losing down in distance. They're trying to make a play. You know, if they got you in 3rd and 1, they would put pressure on because they're losing. You know, they're trying to make a play to keep you, you know, in that same series essentially. If they were 2nd and 11, they would put on some pressure because they're going to try to keep you behind the down and distance. And then on 3rd and long, they're just going to get off the field with something simple. So that's something that as a play caller you had to break down. You know, I knew that this play call on 2nd and 5 is no good. It actually was going to either be a 2nd or 3rd and short call, or it was going to have to be a 3rd and really long call. If it were 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6, I can't call this because they were going to be pretty unpredictable in what they wanted to do. They may pressure, they may not, they may bail, they may not. But I knew, well, I didn't know, but I had a really good, again, base of knowledge there that on a long yardage and 3rd and long, they're going to do what they always do. They're going to put pressure on with 4 and try to get to your quarterback. They run those twist type stunts to cover up for screens. That twister can find your running back and find him on screens. So what we did is we ran a middle screen so that couldn't happen. And we used the wing back as a lead player, and then Charlie kind of hides behind him and pokes through in the middle of the hole that Austin and Matt Brown create. So the linemen are going to push everybody out. The wing back is going to come into the middle of the formation then after the snap, and he's going to lead up like it's almost an ISO play. And then we're just going to flip it to Charlie right in the hole that they've created. And Matt was going to go to the backer on the right. Austin's going to go to the backer on the left. Again, we had planned this for a scenario where both backers had dropped, so we're going to get them in a lot of open space out there. And Charlie essentially just splits right down the middle. And, again, this is a lot of time it took to design this play and figure out how I wanted to run it in this particular week. But we executed it tremendously. And this is it. You know, you can't run this screen 3 and 4 times a game. We had one shot at this.
Yep.
We got 12 yards out of it. And again, I am not a 3rd and long screen draw, 2nd long screen draw guy. I can't stand that stuff. But all the information pointed to this is going to be a really good play here. So we go for it on 4th down again, and we convert this one. Again, a little bit
nice
risky.
catch by Eric.
Yep. A little bit risky. We do a check to me here. We've got coverage that's above the chains on the top side. Eric runs a hitch right on the chains. And, boy, Zach throws it in here 1,000 miles an hour, and we catch it.
Really good hands catch.
Yep. Great route, using our body, using our size. Huge conversion.
You know, we've had, I'll say this, we've had a lot of different styles of receiver that have played for us. A lot of different talent levels. over the years. But I think Eric is probably one of the biggest, best hands receivers that we've ever had.
Yeah, he caught the ball real well out in front of himself for sure. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, really good with his hands, and there are so many examples of of him making those really difficult, strong hands catches in traffic. I think about the one against Cathedral too, the whole shot. Um, that kind of flipped that game around a little bit. Another really good hands catch by him. He just was so good with his hands. Quarterback zone here. Quarterback outside zone, I should say. Tried for the hitch and go here.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be able to get him. Again, they're just too disciplined here. We'd hit this kid on multiple hitches now, and he just flat out doesn't bite on this. Eric probably should have sold it a little bit longer on the actual hitch route here. He kind of breaks this off at 4 yards, which this guy's probably not going to buy. He doesn't do a great job there, but again, they're just too disciplined. It was worth a shot, at 2nd and 5. Again, so this is what I'm talking about, okay, what I just mentioned earlier. So if you go back real quick, this right here, it's 2nd and 6, and we've got some momentum going. Look at the extreme pressure. We're on pace right now. I mean, here comes double A gap from both those backers. They're bringing 6. These were the scenarios that we kind of wanted to avoid with some of that stuff. And again, that's about knowing your opponent. Would that screen have been good in this scenario? No, it wouldn't have. Charlie would have gotten caught in the mess. We would have run into linebackers here. That had to be for a very specific circumstance, knowing what we were most likely going to get. And right now, in that circumstance, we were at 2nd and 6. We were on target, and they're going to put a lot of pressure on to try to get you off target. So that's you got to have those things. I don't have a play call sheet, but you got to have those things on your sheet, or you better have them in your head and know that stuff. Oh, we're close right here. Oof. Yep.
Yeah.
Run, though. It's a nice run. We got a really nice hole. O-line does a great job here. Where you can see we're moving some bodies up front. They're getting really tired right now. And that's, again, part of what we had talked to the kids about. They were going to start to fatigue, and we had to really take advantage of that, and you're starting to see it happen.
We talked about this a couple times before.
Yeah, he's not planning for this ball to bounce so far.
Yeah.
It happens.
And it happens. He kind of overruns this a little bit. That's what we talk about. Tell those kids just to try to square that guy up and, quit. You don't need to play angles as severely.
So the Booker kids now, they're starting to sell people. So now that Booker kid does come in and play. I mean, it's unbelievable how good their D line has been for so long. I mean, you think back to what Center Groves produced that position group. Holy cow, man! I mean, they just got so many troops. Great scramble here by Zach. Charlie misses this block on this one. They go and bring another pressure, and he puts his head down and ducks, which is bad technique here, and gets beat by this linebacker. As a matter of fact, I think 34 didn't play for them the next season for some reason. I don't think he was a senior in this game. He either had gotten injured and might have missed almost the whole year or something. But I don't think he played as a junior that I can really recall. I may be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure he didn't really play.
Really good job up front.
This one too. I thought
we again.
One through.
Mm-hmm.
Really good job.
Really good.
Up front. We're executing a very small number of plays really well, and we're just running inside zone, and Charlie scores one right down the chute here. It's a really good run.
Really good job right here by Jacob Britson. You're kind of stepping down. That guy goes away. Now we turn and we look back for our backer. Really good job. Boy, and we're on the doorstep again here.
Yeah, tough area down here against these guys. We missed
Mm-hmm.
2 blocks. Charlie's got to go to the inside shoulder, and one of our linemen misses the block there as well. This was one that oh my mercy. I'm not 100% sure. This was again. You got to remember, this is only the second week in his life that Charlie has actually run the zone stuff. I think he sees the color flash in front of his face on Austin here, but Austin's going to pick this block up with no problem. And he goes to cut this thing back, and he's got a hole down the middle that's it's worth 6 points. But they're the ones with the ball in their hands. He's only played, because Kokomo, we only played 2 quarters. All the starters came out at halftime. So he's still trying to get used to some of the zone stuff there and kind of work on that relationship with the lineman a little bit. Now, this was a bad choice here. We get real lucky on this one.
It's our under concept.
So as much as Center Grove probably gets a tad bit of luck on that last one there, this one, the old Dragons get that paid back, because Zach should never have thrown this ball. We run our under again, which we ran to Maxon earlier in the game, and this linebacker reads it perfect, and Zach just tunnels this one down, and boy, 34 picks this one easy.
Yep.
If this ball doesn't get batted down by I think that's Curry down there. So pull it for a field goal with Crop, and he nails it, and we go up 10-7. It's a big kick from him, and
10-0.
Or sorry,
right?
10-0. My bad. 10-0.
They're gonna score right here, right?
Yeah,
I think
10-0. Yeah.
Boy, again, you just see the fits that their big kids give us. Although, I'm gonna tell you what,
we don't get a good kick on this one either.
No. Mr. Hook does not mess around on our kickoff team. I mean, he obviously he was our 3-time. He's won our special teams award as a sophomore, junior, and senior. I think that in 2018 and 19 total, I think he made almost 70% of our tackles on kickoff, which is just an absurd number. The one thing I will note about our system, our kickoff system, when I give our clinic talks, the previous kickoff after we score that touchdown is the only time in 2 years of running this that all 10 of our players get blocked. It's happened once, and it happened on that first kickoff. And I forgot to mention that, where they literally get on all 10 of us. This time they get on 9 of us.
They about do it right here too, honestly.
Yep.
I mean, they're pretty much hat on a hat, almost.
Yep.
I mean, Max had knocked his kid over, but the kid still can't block him.
All right, first down, Buck sweep.
I mean, you can just see the size of these guys they've got. I mean, you can the size discrepancy between their offensive line and our defense is just. I mean, let's
look right here.
Their average, I think, was this season. I think their average was over 300 pounds, which it may have been pretty close to that in 19, but I don't, because one of their guards I think was a tad bit smaller. But this offensive line in this game, I'm gonna tell you what. Not only were they big kids, but when they walked onto the field, I mean, they were just huge.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's crazy because it wasn't Valpo big. They were just big. You know, Valpo's guys were 6'5" and 6'5.5" and all that. I mean, they were monstrous. But these guys, for the most part, were somewhere between 6'1" and 6'3" or so. But they were just big, thick kids. And, man, oh, man, I mean, they just brought it every play.
This is the biggest kid on our team. That's Tyler Horsley.
Yeah, he was right on like 300 pounds. He was like
Yeah.
298, 301, depending upon when he weighed in. And what
And
is
this dude is just swallowing him.
yeah, that kid was like 330.
Kate does a really nice job right there.
Yep,
This was
great
kind of one
job.
of their one-off formations that you want to talk about the check to this for a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, so this was one of their formations they had some really heavy tendencies from, and again, you're with no prior knowledge, we kind of rolled the dice. So essentially, we made a check during the week after we had practiced this formation, and the kids got comfortable with it. We made a check to this to essentially kind of disregard the fullback on this particular formation, and we were just going to knife our outside linebacker right at the running back, and so the guy that's in front of the quarterback there, we essentially just called him like the fullback or the wing here. And really, he just lead blocked. He never kicked out or anything. And they didn't really throw the ball from this either. So we essentially just disregarded him and knifed our backers down to tackle steal on those particular plays.
Maxon's going to make a really good one later against
It
this.
really paid off for us as practice went on. We did it really well. It's a good job by Matt Brown this play, turning this back in. But again, third and short's where Center Grove lives. They're going for this twice. I mean, at 3rd and 3, you're going to get 2 plays out of them. I mean, we're playing really well on defense, honestly. You know, what you see with these guys a lot, again, is when teams don't have a lack of discipline, what you see with them a lot is 3 yards, and then buck sweep hits for 60. And you're like, holy Moses, what happened? And then you see that, 3 guys misfit their gap or something. Or you see, buck sweep for 8, buck sweep for 8, buck sweep for 8, belly for 45. And you're like, gee, many Christmas. So we really are doing a nice job right now of not letting them just chunk yards on us. Essentially, again, the same game plan from the year before. Guys, we got to make them run plays, okay? We cannot give up, 3 and 5 play drives to wing T teams. Like, that's going to kill you. So quarterback makes a nice throw here on this curl. Really nice throw, actually. But, I mean, that stuff's hard to cover, especially with that running back in the backfield. We've got to play really heavy to him. And, I mean, again, they're getting – he gets a little bit more on that one himself, but we're hitting him at 2 and 3. Boy, I think this one's unfortunate here for us. Again, they get really lucky here, so they end up. We don't get pressure here, which it is what it is. But we cover the initial route, and the tight end just sits down in the hole and stays here, and we don't cover him. We kind of double open the little bit, but he comes back to the ball. Anyway, they say he goes down right there, and he doesn't, and we actually force a fumble and recover it. I think Maxon tears it out maybe, or Brody right there. We actually force a fumble and recover it, and I'm going to tell you what. You want to talk about another momentum swing here? The official, though, no one blew a whistle. Nobody. And the ball's out. Even the guy in the back has not blown a whistle. And then this guy comes in from the side after the fumble and says that his knee was down 5 yards ago. And it's like, wait a minute, what? Like, anyway, not happy about this call, but it is what it is. We get a little bit of a bad break there. It happens. Yeah, down here you're going to get nothing but number 30 from here. I mean, it's going to be feed the beast till he hits his head on the goalpost here. I mean, you can tell too. You guys, people that really know the pad level and body angle that kid runs with are just spectacular. I mean, he is a really strong kid, and as a side note, he's a track guy. He's a 50-foot shot putter as a sophomore, which is just disgusting considering he weighed only like 220 or 25 pounds at the time. But I'll tell you what, what a super nice kid too. I've talked
Yep.
to him at a couple of the track meets and stuff, and had some opportunity to actually. It was kind of funny. I told Coach Cooper this. I coach track in the spring and stuff, and the spring leading up to this game, we're in the same regional and stuff as Center Grove is in track. So we were sitting there at the discus event. The Booker kid was throwing discus, and one of their other players, and then Carson and another kid were their shot putters. And so I was sitting there at the discus event, and our kids were sitting right next to their kids, just kind of hanging out. And I had the opportunity to talk to some of their boys just sitting there during the event, and just small talk with them and ask them how their off season and stuff is going and whatnot and everything. And wish them good luck going into to play us here in the first game, and the same thing in 19 as well. And man, just such a nice group of kids. And I told Coach Cooper, I said, man, I was really hoping that they would just be like not personable, and they would just
jerks.
They would just be jerks so that I could be like, yeah, we don't like these guys. And I told him, I said, I got to be honest, I really like their kids a lot. Like they were just so nice and so respectful and so polite. And I didn't expect different than that. It's just kind of making a little bit of a joke. It would have given a little extra fuel, I guess, I suppose. But man, they were just such great kids. And that's the thing I love about games like this is you're playing such a high quality, high caliber program with good young men in it. And it made this 2-year series you've watched now so much more special because it's two teams that, in my opinion, do it the right way and execute at an extremely high level. And again, they've got good kids, they're just good young men. And that's really cool. It's really fun. They represent their program really well, and not just on the football field, but track meets, etc. So it was really kind of an interesting experience.
Important play here because, well, first, let me say this: in 2 games against them, you just watched the only touchdown that they score, which is incredibly impressive by our defense. But secondly, not knowing that at this time, this is a super important play here because it's 10-6, not 10-7. And I think we probably block this, even if Jackson can get the ball down on the tee. I mean, because Hook is just through there completely cleanly. This is a big play. Little sky kick there. That's something they did a little bit. I mean, they had a dude who could just, I don't remember this kid's name, 99, but man alive, did he have a hammer. Oh, he could really kick.
Yeah, their punter went to kick, I want to say at Indy maybe, and
That's correct.
Their kicker also just had an absolute hammer.
Yep.
Their punter was an all-state punter and stuff. Their punter actually might have this year won the Mr. Football for punting. I can't remember. I want to say yes, though. Eric's just got to get this ball and get vertical here. He hesitates. We kind of got on him here for this one. He needs to just catch this ball and just go. We've bought ourselves some time on this quick now screen out here, but he hesitates too much to just exploding up the field.
Yeah, just right through there. Get what you can get. Little check with me here. And then we're going to call timeout. And then we missed the start of this. Third medium run here.
Yep.
So we're going to punt this ball away. That's on Chuck's highlight tape right there. This one.
Well, this one where he lifts the kid up.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild. You talk about it looks like a WWE move.
And there, right there, is in 3 years of punting from this system, this one return is 50% of the total return yards we've allowed. And it is 7, if you're curious, 7 of 14, which is a real testament to Eric. You know, I know we don't punt a ton. I mean, let's be honest, we're not talking about a sample of 100 punts here, but still, you know, Eric kicks the ball really, really well and lets our coverage team go down there and make plays. There's a hold. This is going to be the drive that ends with a punt block here.
Yeah. This is such a great job by Kyle and Max. This actually was on Kyle's highlight film in this particular year here. This little swing to them had been so deadly. Maxon does a good job pinning it in. Kyle and Matt are both hustling over. That's a great play to stop that for the yards that we keep them to here.
Now, what you don't know, well, you know, but what everybody watching this doesn't know is that this play is what makes the punt block. Because I'll talk about this when we get there, but we need them to punt from this hash. So Riker breaking this play up here and keeping them stuck on the left hash is huge. Because if he catches this,
really, that is such a great play by him. Breaks on the ball, hand through the hands. This is so well done by him.
Mm-hmm. You know, so I'm starting to think. I mean, it's 2nd and 16, but I'm right now starting to think, man, if we can leave them on this hash, we're going to block this punt. We just got to keep them over there.
You're going to notice something on this play as well. We put Charlie in at nose guard, and they actually just grab him and throw him on the ground, which is also should be a penalty. But yeah, this was part of our plan this week too. We're going to mix him in at nose guard a little bit and just put a big strong kid in there and deal with it some. But this guy literally grabs his shoulder pads and then like throws them on the. I mean, that was what it is. But yeah, he played deep. I mean, this was an all out. We got to do whatever we can do to try to win this game. So, yeah, they go for a long ball here. I think we break this one up pretty easily. This one's almost picked off actually. Maxon's got this ball in his hands, and that guy breaks it up. But really good play by our DBs again there.
Let me flip over here because I got to get over here to get to the punt block. So here's the deal on this. You know, we had it installed both ways, but we wanted to call it from our sideline. And, you know, my concern here, and I talked about this a little bit yesterday in the Michigan City game, listen, I don't have to be smarter than their coaches. I got to be smarter than their kids. And the thing I was afraid of, if they were over on this hash and Riker starts creeping here, is that their coaches are going to yell out and have them make some kind of adjustment. I wanted to protect him on our sideline. So the key to this, if they're not on this hash, we don't call this. And honestly, this is the only chance in the game that we get at it, truthfully, where they punt from the hash near our sideline. So that's huge. And let me go to the tight here because I think it's on here. And I'll tell you, so, you know, some of their games are on YouTube. You know, they do like YouTube live broadcasts of all their games every year. And I had about probably 7 or 8 games that I had watched there on YouTube, and yeah, I don't know, maybe 25, 30 punts. And I mean to tell you, this was literally months of work to try to figure out how this worked. And I finally figured it out. And I remember it was like May. And I came in a weight room one day and I'm like, I figured it out. We're going to block a punt and get center row. And I mean, I watched and watched and watched and watched. So here's what we figured out. And this is kind of this is inside the headset a little bit here, really truthfully, and trying to figure out what they're going to do here. So what we learned was it's on him. And he would set their protection. And basically what he would do is he would count. And it's basically going to be, it's 4-man protection away from him. Okay. And then you've got kind of a 3-man, it's a half slide. and he's just going to kind of insert here for any threat that shows. So I knew I thought he could potentially get to Riker, so I had to get him to set over here. So what we do here is we basically overload 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We overload the boundary to get him to slide this thing this way and make him set to the field. And when we do that, what we're going to do basically is we're just going to corner blitz this. And I'm going to have Matt's playing linebacker right here, and he's just going to kind of drop under this just to prevent him from, throwing some kind of throwing a quick fade out here or an out route or something just to kind of protect us. And Riker times it up really well. And you can see him kind of last second out of the corner of his eye come back and try to pick Riker up here, which I think if he had been set to the boundary, I think he probably blocks him, honestly. Huge play.
Yeah, that's an exceptional play. By the way, you can also tell I wasn't lying. Look at the crowd, man.
Yep. So always nice when that much work, when you get paid off and it works the way it's supposed to work.
Such a great play by Riker. I mean, it really is tremendous execution on a really hard deal. That's really well done.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the troops are fired up, man. The boys are feeling it. There's a lot of excitement on that. They knew how important that was too when we had gotten the scenario and then called the play. Boy, they knew this is time to make something happen. So we get a ball in great field position here, and now you're 10-7, and we got to make something happen out of this. We got to get paid off on that effort right there. So it's a huge drive for us. Really, I mean, it's the first half is starting to come to a close here.
Mm-hmm.
Go jet sweep to Colby.
There's that tight end wing formation again that we were talking about.
Yeah. Go with our quarterback zone here and really rip off a nice one out of this formation. You can see those guys all go for Charlie. It opens up a huge hole for Zach. We get some really good blocking up front.
Feed the beast here.
I'll tell you what, this one of Charlie, it doesn't seem so because it's only 6 yards. This one of Charlie's best runs right here. Good blocking up front. He's got people all over him. I mean, he gets first contact at the 4, and he drags 3 Center Grove kids with him into the end zone here. So not only is it a big momentum swing, but then you've got a block like that. You've got the momentum in our favor. Then you get a real powerhouse run out of Charlie right here. I mean, our boys are absolutely fired up. That's one thing that in weeks like this, I guess a little bit of an inside the headset thing as well. In weeks like this, it's not necessary to kind of remind the kids of that, but one of our goals each week that I remind the kids of almost on a daily basis is, I think such a huge part of the game of football is being the most excited team to play,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not, I don't need rah people. That's not a statement of like, I need that guy in the locker room that's going to get everyone fired up. We don't need that. That oftentimes is a false sense of security. The people that are those rah people are usually the ones who are the least confident, and we don't need that stuff. But there is such a huge element to this sport of being the team that wants to be there the most. And there are some times where you see good teams that look really disinterested in playing football. You can watch high school, you can watch college, you can watch the NFL. there are so many times where you see good teams that look completely disinterested in being there on that given day. And that's an attitude that we breed with our kids of one of your jobs is to be the most excited team to play and have energy and play the game with passion and play it relentlessly. Because when you don't, that's how you lose. And that's then who you become. I always tell the kids, there's no switch you can flip to turn on your intensity. You have developed that habit through how you practice and how you play. And as time goes on, that's who you become. And there is no switch that you can just flip on and off and become a great player whenever you really feel like it. Kyle misses an opportunity there for a big sack.
Yeah.
Just got to keep that outside leverage a little bit better.
Kind of got caught trying to steal the cheese a little bit there on the read stuff.
They really hadn't pulled many of these either. We actually told these guys to go for the mesh point and make him pull it. We do it the next year with Taven, then he does pull one, and it's like, oh, nope, okay, nope, forget that order. Scratch that order. Go ahead and nix that.
A couple of nice throws from Jackson Moore here on this drive.
Yeah. This was the one thing. He really did this well. He threw these balls to the outside, those kind of hitches and curls, anything that's kind of near those numbers. He did throw these pretty well.
Boy, and he's got a live arm too, man.
Some of those deeper balls and stuff he had struggled with, but well, that stuff in his wheelhouse that's hard to stop in their offense, he really could throw that stuff pretty well.
Well, you talk about Carson being a load.
Yeah.
That's one of our better tacklers right there. And he tries to go low, and
he gets him right in the thighs too.
Yep.
That's a 160-pound Brody at the time against 225 or whatever pound Carson. That's not a great matchup for the Dragons, though.
Kind of that levels concept a little bit that we talked about against Michigan City. Back in the wing tee here.
Yeah, 3rd and short. You're just going to get this one right down your throat again. It really is. I mean, especially with him back there, it is such a difficult offensive system to stop and deal with. I mean, the constant. Oh, this is
Luke Ely.
So they called a timeout here. This is actually probably one of the times on defense where I interjected. And part of your job as a head coach is you need to watch everything. And I came over in the defensive huddle. They'd called timeout. I came over in the defensive huddle, and I said, guys, look, here's the deal. I said, this is the scenario where the screen is coming. They've been going downfield. I said, they're gonna go for big yards here, and this is the best way for them to do it. I said, Luke, you are going to spy Carson. Like normally your linebacker spies the quarterback. That's usually what you'll do, right? I said, your only job on this play is to spy Carson and mirror him. Everybody else, do your job. I said, D-line, you got to be aware of the screen, which none of them bail for the screens. That's disappointing. But I said, Luke, you have to spy Carson on this play. Do not let him get out of your sights. And he just mirrors him, and beats this lineman and makes a huge play before Carson Wentz can even get going. I mean, this is really big for us right here because they had screened people over the years with him to death. And once he gets his legs on an open space like that, you are in a world of hurt. So we've got him in 2nd and long now, which is where we really want him to be. We've got pretty nice coverage. Make him make a tough throw here, and it's incomplete. Same thing, another one of these like little curl routes here. The big thing about these, though, is, I talk to the DBs when I'm coaching them about one hit, one tackle. We just can't give up yards after catch. That's the big thing here. Make them earn their yards in the passing game. We couldn't give up big chunks to them because we can't tackle somebody in space. We're making good plays. This is another really good play down here by Kyle and and Luke then going ahead and firing and charging this thing. It's a really nice play by Kyle there. So,
I'll say this. Obviously, in hindsight, the tackle on the screen is a great play, but the reason it is because they're probably about 4 or 5 yards out of field goal range right here on this fourth down. I think
they have to go for this. Yeah.
If they're on the 32 or 33, I think they're probably going to try to kick this.
Yeah, that kid
with the kicker that they have.
Yeah, he was probably good from 50.
So this is, that's where that's even more important, because we get them off the field here, and it stays 17-6 instead of 17-9, and we're just going to kneel it and go to the locker room.
Yeah.
So that's a really important hold right there, I think, for us momentum-wise, going into the locker room with an 11-point lead instead of with an 8-point lead.
Yeah, big difference. Totally different feel.
So I know we talked about in the 2019 Center Grove game that we did. The question was asked, how do we feel going into locker room 2019 versus 2018? And I said, you know what? Actually, I feel pretty good going into the locker room in this game in 2018. A lot of stuff's gone our way. Forced a turnover, blocked a punt. We've run the ball really well. Zach's made some nice throws. Offense is pretty crisp overall against a really good defense. Our defense is holding. And I'll say this too, though. One of the things I talked about this in 2019 because we only had 4 possessions in the first half of 2019 game. We didn't have the ball very much here either.
No.
What do we have? We punted once, 4 possessions. Yeah, 4 possessions because we scored 2 touchdowns, a field goal, and we punted once.
Yeah, same.
So, I don't feel good about the number of possessions necessarily, but at least we're being efficient with them. And, we've got basically 17 points off 4 possessions, which is pretty good. But, our defense is really, I think, holding very well. And, if you told me we went in the locker room and Center Grove had 6 points before the game even started, regardless of what we had done, I felt like we would have a really good chance to win the ball game. Yeah. Even if we came out and just laid an egg offensively, if we go in the locker room and they've only got 6 on their side of the board, even if we got 0, I feel like we've still got a chance. So I felt pretty good. I felt like we weren't done scoring either. In knowing, what we had done to attack their defense, and that defense is just what they do. We talked about some of the pressure stuff, but it's not like they're going to come out and get super exotic and they're not gonna reduce down to a bare 50 front. They're not all of a sudden gonna come up and play press 0 on you and really tighten the screws down on you. Their defense is their defense, and either they're gonna stop you or they're not. It's what they hang their hat on. So I felt pretty good, not only with the 9-point lead, but I felt like we were probably gonna score again. And then whatever our defense could do from there, we'll force another turnover. We get another turnover in the special teams in the second half. Those things kind of, I think, if as I go into the locker room, I feel like if that trend continues, we're going to win a game. Things are going to have to take a pretty serious turn in terms of our execution for us to lose the game from here. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I think that a little bit of what you said is a complementary piece to what I started off with. We've now played these guys twice that everyone has been sitting here watching, and we've had in the first half, in the 2 games combined, 8 possessions. And normally, we're used, quite frankly, we're used to getting 3 to 4 possessions a quarter on people.
Right. So let's talk about the week before. We played Kokomo, and we scored 10.
I'll go back to that.
We scored 10 touchdowns.
Yeah. So we're used to getting 3 to 4 possessions a quarter normally. And that's kind of what I said at the start of this is, again, going into this game with the element of the unknown, with no prior knowledge of the opponent, really, truthfully, and what the game's going to bring, that's where I think the philosophy that I have as a head coach that's filtered down has been so important. Because if your philosophy is, okay, let's just run a whole bunch of plays, we're going to have to trick them, we got to fool them. I've got 9 RPOs this week. We've got 16 different passes. We've got 11 different runs. And you think that's going to fool Center Grove. you're wrong. That's not going to fool anybody. All you're doing is setting yourself up for failure, and you're playing right into their hands. Because like you said, and I said before, they're not going to change for anybody. They're going to beat you with discipline and assignment football, and they're going to make you make mistakes. They're going to make you get frustrated, and they're going to make you do things that you don't want to do, that your kids maybe aren't used to, and they're going to make you pay for that. And that's why they're so good, because teams come out and they think, oh man, I'm not really sure if we can run the ball well against our front four. Well, let's run a reverse, or we'll RPO off of this guy, and then we'll it's like, guys, that 90% of the time is just not the answer to the problem. And when you're looking at the possibility of getting 2 possessions a quarter because of their offense, and the fact that they're going to run the ball for 3 yards, 4 yards, 7 yards, 2 yards, 1 yard, throw it for 8, run it for 3. But the thing is, in between those plays, they are literally bleeding the clock all the way down. So your offensive – again, that's their mentality of things. Your offensive possessions now become more and more and more valuable to you because they're limited. And that's where offensive coordinators start to know, oh, my God, we've only had the ball twice. We only might get it 2 more times. We need to start pressing this and get points out of this. Well, you don't have to do that. What you need to do is establish your own drives, run the clock yourself, and make your drives valuable. And what you can't do is think, oh, no, we might only have 1 more chance to have the ball this half. Let's go vertical here. We need points. Let's get vertical. That's not going to work against them. First of all, they play cover 4. They play cover 4 so that you don't do that against them. They make you stay in front of them. And that's just the way that they play. They're going to make you get frustrated and make you do something stupid. And then guess what? You don't get the ball back for 8 more minutes now. And now you're in a lot of trouble. So, again, I think that's – so to go back to what you said, the week before this, we played Kokomo, who had just come off of a 5A runner-up finish, and we really caught them off guard. They had changed head coaches and whatever, and they ended up being a pretty nice little ball club as the year went on. They made the sectional final, but they just weren't ready for what we were at that stage of the year. We had 10 possessions in the first half and scored on all 10 of them. We had 70 points in the first half. I mean, it was just an onslaught of points. And a lot of that was because they went down 14, and then it was 21, and they start pressing. They start throwing verticals. They start throwing scissors routes. They start trying to throw running back swings and screens out there, and we're just hammering that stuff. Yeah. And intercepting passes, and it just got out of control. And that's where some of that comes from is I think coordinators panic and think, oh, boy, we better start manufacturing points in a hurry here, or, oh, no, we're only going to get another possession or 2. We better come up with something fast. You're just playing right into these good teams' hands. That's what they want you to do. And the ability to just stay in your game plan and stay disciplined and have the kids believe and buy into a system, which I believe is what we have. Our kids know that if it hits the fan a little bit, we're going to come right back to inside zone. We're going to come right back to our sprint out game, short passes, move the chains, get us under control, bring us back to a sense of calm. And here's the thing. The other teams that we play know that too. It isn't like it's a mystery. We're just going to do those things that we execute really well to keep weathering the storm and continue to find our identity. Whereas a lot of people think, well, let me call RPO number 13 of the night and see if this one pays off. And that's not how you beat these teams. So, I know that seems a little bit different because we just watched Michigan City where we had a bunch of those one-offs that were the quote-unquote touchdowns, but that was part of the game plan for that week. That was part of the identity of that week. But when you're playing these guys, your possessions are valuable, and they better end in either first downs or points of some kind. And when I break our offense down, I look at what's called a successful drive. So depending upon where we are on the field, I will analyze after the game's over with how many drives we were successful on. And against these guys, a drive that ends in a punt. So in the first half, we had three possessions that were successful and one that wasn't because we didn't move the chains. A first down against these guys is big because that buys you minutes on the clock and it keeps their offense off the field. So what we wanted was 2 first downs a drive, and I felt like we could get points out of those things if that happened. So going to the locker room, I do remember, kind of one of the funny pieces of this is like I said earlier, there were so many people that just had no clue how this game was going to go. Mm-hmm. Can we hang with these guys? Can we play? Is it even conceivable that we could win this game? And I remember walking up the field and walking by our administrators, Mr. Fessler, Coach Cooper, all that stuff, and them just having the biggest smiles on their faces,
Yes.
And they just, they almost felt like we had won the game, and I kind of gave them a little bit of a smile and a little bit of a wink. And it, I knew obviously we hadn't won the game at that point, but I also wanted to come to the locker room and make sure the kids knew we hadn't won the game at that point.
Yeah.
There were so many people that are very invested in our program, that support our program, like those guys, and there's a bunch of other administrators and stuff that come to the games and whatnot, but those two always stand pretty much next to each other in the one corner of the end zone, and I see them every time we come on and off the field. And, you could just tell, like, they were a little bit on cloud nine because we're beating Center Grove at the half. And they both know there's a lot of work to still do, but it definitely was an uplifting feeling going into this half. Up by 2 possessions. We're at home. We really have got a lot of momentum going our way. Mm-hmm. Again, the locker room atmosphere, boy, I mean, the kids were just laser focused. What you didn't want to do was walk in and see a locker room that felt like they'd accomplished something already.
Right.
A small party in there. And I remember that, we talk to the coaches. We make our minor adjustments. We don't really have much to do as far as adjustments are concerned, honestly. Sent each coach in to talk to their position groups one-on-one before I come in there and talk to the running backs and then the whole team and stuff. But I remember when I came in, every kid was just sitting there in their locker, just laser focused and ready for the message. And I think I know I said that I didn't feel maybe as good, but I felt really good in that moment of like, okay, the attitude of this team is where I want it to be. We just got to finish this game, and it's going to be one of the biggest wins in the history of our program. Certainly probably one of the biggest regular season wins in the history of our program, if not the biggest at the time. I was really nervous, to be honest. I didn't feel great. I never feel great in these circumstances and stuff. There's a whole half to play. They still got Carson standing back there in the backfield, obviously, who can change a game in one carry. But we played really well. And I think the biggest thing, like I said, was 1, our kids have a lot of momentum, and 2, we were the most excited team to be there that night.
Yep.
There was no doubt about it that our kids, I mean, just that the aura that was around our team that night, you couldn't help but feel positive about what was going on. Mm-hmm. And that our kids were just going to keep on playing as hard as they could and find ways to win this game. Yep. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty tense, for me personally, it's a tense halftime. I know how big this game is for our kids and for the program. And we've played really well for 2 quarters. And really the message is just going to be, guys, we're not changing much. Keep playing the way we've been playing. And we got to go out and finish what we started here. And really kind of remind them of, this is a chance to prove a lot of people wrong. A lot of people thought we were stupid for signing this game. They thought it made no sense. It was arrogant. It was irresponsible. We are going to get kids hurt. It doesn't make sense for a 4A public school to go play 6A schools like this. Why would someone go play teams from the MIC? I mean, all the stuff where everyone just doubted our kids from the get-go. And we're pretty young in this game as well. So I just kind of reminded the kids one more time of this is your opportunity to really put yourselves on the map here and really make people take notice of what this team and this program is capable of. And let's go finish the job. And I mean, we play a really sharp second half here as well coming up, and we'll do that tomorrow. But Yeah, I mean it's one of the more overall complete games that we've probably played in all three phases, and we we certainly needed it. We certainly needed it because this was a real. I mean this team ends up in this year going all the way to the wire in the semi-state to beat eventual top 25 in the nation and state champion Warren Central, and they've got Warren Central on the ropes on 4th and goal from like the 2 to win it and come up short. I mean, this is a really, really good football team that we're playing in the regular season here. And I think in 18, Warren ended up being ranked number 1 in the state of Indiana, and they were a 6A school that won the 6A championship, and they were top 25 in the country. We ended up being ranked number 2. We were second behind them in this particular year in the state, and I think Center Grove was third. I mean, this is some big time football right now that's happening really early in the season. Again, against 2 teams that are going to go on to have a wonderful season here, and then the 19 game we've talked about already. Obviously, was the 5A champion again in us, and the 6A state runner-up in them. I mean, it's really fun, high-quality football to watch.
Yep. All right, well, let's pick her up here tomorrow with a really exciting second half, and like you said, finish off a real program-defining win here. So, thanks as always, Coach. As always, everybody, we'll take your questions. Requests, anything like that, please let us know. And Coach, we'll see you tomorrow.
Sounds good.